I know this is a what do I think now and not a shop or drop, but Adept have just revealed this new palette, and I've got the shimmers in it look beautiful, but I don't get the mattes. What are the mattes in there? There's like a bright green, a bright red, a grey. I don't understand it. This to me is a colour story. This is, I get it. The colours in here together make sense. The colours in this Adept palette, it's as if someone walked around the office and said, what's your favourite colour? And everyone said what their favourite colour was, and then they just whacked it in the palette or something. I mean, I don't know whose favourite colour would be that shade. Après la vie? Because that just, I mean, what kind of shade is that? I mean, maybe even if you took that out. I don't get it. Hello, Just Gem here, and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. I have been sitting on this palette for a while, and I do feel bad that it's taken me this long to film with this, because Adept were kind enough to send me this in PR. Don't know what they were thinking, but they did. And as you will have seen, I was particularly critical of the colour story in this palette. Ever since I've had this in my possession, it's continued to throw me, and I open up this palette and I think to myself, what am I going to do with it? So I've decided I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to, which is sometimes what I do. Occasionally I'll have an idea in my head of what I would like to do, and sometimes I do just pick up a palette and wing it, but I feel more comfortable winging it with those palettes. Normally I do one look on each eye, and I try to do one look that's a bit more neutral and one look that's a bit more colourful. And I did see Adept post the other day something like, now that you've seen that you can get neutral and colourful looks with this palette, and I'm like, really, can you? So we're going to see. I have already done the swatches. While I consider what two looks I'm going to put on my eyeballs, take a look at the swatches. Believe it or not, there is a shade here, but it's basically my skin tone if I was glittery / shimmery. I think you can see the shimmer, but yeah, it's kind of my skin tone with some sparkle in there. And it's got like some greeny, goldy, and dare I say it, maybe even some blue shimmer particles in there. I felt that the mattes were quite dry, like especially that black. I had to go in and build that up a lot. I think the blue also felt sort of particularly dry. I don't remember Minka being as dry as that. I think I made a wisecrack about this shade. I think it's called Après la vie. The shade Vivette, which is the third shade in and the namesake of the palette, that was very chunky. So I think you can see that swatch is a bit wider, and that's just because when I went in with my finger it just kind of went everywhere. So just to smooth it out, it ended up making that particular swatch a little bit thicker. I still think it's a bit of an odd colour story. I'm not going to retract that. But then, now having swatched them out, I wonder if there's a method to the madness. So it's going to be interesting seeing what looks you can create. But they're definitely there, and I'm intrigued, and I'm looking forward to playing with this just to see what can be done with what to me looks like a random combination of colours. And I'll get my little light out just so you can see it running over the top, especially for the shimmer shades. I was most critical of the shade Après la vie, so naturally I feel like I'm going to have to use it. I'm thinking I might lean sort of greeny neutrally, and then on the other, maybe that's what I'm going to do. I haven't even shown you the palette yet. How washed out is that on a scale of 1 to 10? That's a bit better. What I might do to alleviate some of the stress I'm feeling is split the palette down the middle. And on one eye, I'm going to use these shades, and on the other eye, I'm going to use those shades. I think that's what I'm going to do. There we go. Don't know why I didn't think of that before. Let's start with this 6 on this eye, and then that 6 on the other eye. And I may not use all 6, that might be a bit much. Nice fluffy brush, so perhaps something like a Zoeva 227. And let's go into that Après La Vie shade. Fair bit of kick up in that pan. And I have primed my eyelid with the Gloss Gods Clear Base, because that's what I tend to lean towards at the moment. And I feel like it really puts a palette through its paces on my skin tone. Okay, Après La Vie, guys. Let's see how we go. I just want to see. Okay. That is nowhere near as ashy as I thought it was going to be, especially considering the swatch and how that looked. Far less intimidating blended out with a brush than it looks in the pan and swatched out on an arm. I might go in with something smaller, so something like a Refa 14 now. And the green is called Vivette Beige. The E's got an accent in there. I'm sure I'm butchering this name. You've got to be careful with these, almost sort of I'm dabbing into the pan rather than swirling, because there's a lot of pickup. And I don't know if you just saw that when I was blending in that green there. There's a bit of a proof of pigment. So the latest palette from Adept is actually Emo. And it's odd because when I first saw it, I was like, it has grown on me. I kind of want to do the black as a bit of a halo. Would that look odd? I really should use the shimmers in here. It's a 50-50 split between the shimmers and the mattes. And I do want to have enough room to show off the shimmers, so maybe let's not do that. Vivette's a very chunky shade, which makes me want to avoid it, but I'm not going to avoid it. I'm going to make a point of using it, but let's get the black involved first. That's not as pigmented as I was expecting it to be, which I'm not actually mad at. That's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when it comes to a black. But considering how pigmented that green was, I was expecting this black to be something to be exceptionally careful with. So that's done a really good job actually of toning down that green. So it's made it a much darker green, but I think I do want to bring some of the brightness back. Let's see if I can do that. I'm wiping off the pigment off that Refa 14 and then going back into that green and just seeing if I can, yeah, like that. I mean, this isn't neutral at all, but I think it's going to end up being a lot more muted than the other eye, which is fine. That's fine. Let's get some shimmers involved, and I am going to try Vivette because I'm curious. Placing magic here. That was a lot, potentially a bit more than I envisaged. And then Vivette. I mean, I think I could have used a brush to apply that, to be fair. I really do. I don't know that those look different on the lid though. It's in the shift. I mean, they're pretty intense and pretty stunning. And I think the difference is in the shift. I'm like a magpie. Let me not get too sidetracked just staring at my own eyelids. Let's make a start on the other side. So what have I used there? I used 5 shades there. That's not bad going. The only one I haven't used is Belle Marron. Right, on this side, how do I want to go here? I wonder if I want to do Zamni and two. See, I don't think that's 2 because of the accent. Maybe it's Tuo or I don't know how you pronounce that. That's bad. I'll have to Google it. I wonder what the inspiration for some of these names is actually. I'd be curious to know. I'm starting with the pinky purple shade, Zamni, and maybe I should put the red first. No, let's put the red first actually, only because I think Zamni and Barnaby Blue will blend together more easily, but then would it look better to have? No, stuff it. We're going to start with Zamni. That's half the fun. Let's see how the red and the blue interact. Right, Zamni. And this is my Ref 14 with the pigment wiped off. And then my ME11, and I'm going into that red. Tucho. You'd have thought I'd have learned my lesson from the last time I did an eye look and I'd have put tape down. Don't be silly, of course not. Let me I really want to try that blue because that blue looks really pretty. This could ruin everything. This is why I feel I should have swapped the red and the light purple shade because I think the blue would have blended in better, but I wanted the lighter colour on the inside. It's not too bad of a blend though, to be fair, but I just know it would have been better the other way around. Okay. NYX glitter primer again. I think the shimmers I want to use on this side are going to be Estee and Nyack, with Estee on the outside. That's nice. That's really nice. If you can hear my stomach making some very interesting gurgly noises, I do apologise. I don't know why it's making those noises. I could not tell you. And then Nyack. You probably can't see that. It's a bit of a... It's not as chunky as Vivette, but it's not as smooth as all the others. It's got a bit more chunk to it. Oh wow. Good lord. That's wow. That Nyack shade. That Estee shade. Just all of them. Wow. Okay, Adept. Okay. There's a part of me, I can't help but feel like it's not one of my most polished kind of looks. But maybe it'll come together a bit more once I've put concealer on. So let me put concealer on and then I'll come back to do the under eyes. Concealer on under the eyes. And now it's time to complete under the eyes. On this side, let's get my Zoeva 230 and run ink, the black, under this eye. I'm not even that mad at it just being black, actually. I don't know, I might leave it as that. If I do introduce the green and I'm not liking how it's going, I'll just go back with ink. Okay, that works. Mostly the black, but diffused ever so slightly with that green. I don't know if I want something on the inner corner. No, I think I'm going to leave it like that. And then on the other side, taking that pigment off my 230, going into Barnaby Blue, running that underneath, trying not to poke myself in the eye because lately I seem to quite like doing that. I'm going to finish most of my face and then I will be back to tell you what I think with this palette. Oh, not showing me the packaging. Gosh, I'm a terrible YouTuber. But yeah, it's this lacy packaging. You've got the Vivette name down here. Anyway, finishing my face, coming back, final thoughts. How have I finished my face? The concealer I used, and the concealer I'm using a lot at the moment, is this Fenty Beauty concealer. It's the Fenty Beauty Wear Even Hydrating Longwear Concealer, and I've got it in the shade 445N, which is potentially on the dark side, but it works. I just use a bit of a lighter powder and it works. Really liking that. Really like the applicator, like how it blends out, like how it feels. Generally enjoying that concealer. Recommend. NYX Buttermelt Blush. Today I've used Butter with Thyme, and that's number 7, if I can get it open. I just had it open, why can't I open it now? No, I genuinely can't open it, guys, but this is Butter with Thyme. Bronzer is the Revolution Pro Sculpting Bronzer in Enrobe. That's what that looks like. I used this for the first time in my last video. It's the Gucci Mascara L'Obscure. It's still good. Damn it, why do I have to like this mascara? I don't even want to Google it. I don't want to know how much it is. I'm hoping that it turns shit and I don't like it anymore because it's Gucci mascara. But at the moment I really like it. It's not fair. Clinique High Impact Easy Liquid Liner. Nothing new there. And I'm trying to think, and the Fenty powder, which is in the bathroom. I'm not going to get that. But that's what I've used to finish my face. My lips are currently bare because I want to demo for you the lip glosses that came as part of the bundle. And I'm going to do Nude Beige second because I already know I prefer that one. And that's what I want to finish my face off with. But let's start with Starry Lilac. Okay, that's pretty, to be fair. Let's see if I end up changing my mind, but I've been gravitating more towards Nude Beige than Starry Lilac. Okay, that's pretty. That is pretty. I could wear that with a lip liner. I could wear it as it is. I think this one I think I'd be a bit more inclined to wear with a lip liner just because, I don't know, I just think it would look better. Should we try it with a lip liner? Okay, 89 fine, but I'm going to do this lightly. She says. Slightly messy application, but you see what I mean about how... You tell me. You tell me, did you prefer it before the liner or now I've got the liner on. I think I prefer it with the liner. But that's Starry Lilac. Right, I'm just going to wipe this off and I'll be back. I'm now going to put on Nude Beige, and this is my preferred shade of the two, but actually now I've just tried Starry Lilac again and I did it with the liner. I do really like that. Yes, yeah, I think I just prefer this one. I don't know, I think I like them both now, but for different reasons. See, do you see what I mean when I say that I don't need a liner with this one? I think it's almost because Starry Lilac, as you'd probably deduce from the name, is a bit cooler, so I almost need something to warm it up a bit. Whereas because this is more neutral to pink leaning, it's just a really nice everyday kind of gloss. And it's not sticky. You know how some glosses, you have that kind of stringy, horrible, gloopy stickiness to it, which is just unpleasant. This doesn't have that at all. If anything, this feels like it would be quite hydrating on your lips. Yeah, so I really like that. And with those sparkles in there, I think I prefer it. Thinking about how the Fenty glosses feel on my lip, this is smoother. Not that I feel like the Fenty glosses are gritty. I feel I'm more aware of the particles in that. Yeah, whereas this is just smooth. Smooth and shiny and glossy, no stickiness, just nice. And I won't line that. I think that's fine as it is. Back to the palette. But I did want to show you those glosses as they're part of the bundle. And another reason I wanted to get a review of this out is because it is limited edition. I know they do have this bundle, I think, on sale, and I believe once the bundle is gone at this sale price, it's gone. And I don't know, guys, I mean, am I gonna have to eat humble pie here? Because I did not mince my words when I said how I initially felt when I saw the reveal of this Colour Stories. If anything, I'd say I went on a rant. I felt very strongly about the apparent randomness of this colour story. Do I still think this is a random colour story? Yes and no. Yes and no. My apparent initial loathing of Après La Vie has subsided, especially now I've actually applied it and it's not as ashy and cool toned as I thought it would be. Just from all of the pictures and even from the swatches that I did the other day, it just looked like it was going to be this giant wash of ash, and it's not. I'm quite impressed with this shade actually. I'm probably extra impressed because of how much I bashed it, to be honest. I think most of the fun that you're going to get from this palette is just experimenting and just mashing everything together and seeing what you can create. I don't think this is you can obviously plan out looks, but I think some of the best looks that you're going to pull out of this is when you just pick it up and just go, what do I want to do, blah blah blah, shove it on your lid. And I think that's probably how you're going to get the most from this palette. I don't think this is a deep thought, plan out, map out palette. This is an arty, creative, potentially get outside your comfort zone palette. And I think maybe that's why initially I found it a bit daunting and why it took me so long to film with this, because literally every time I picked this up and I looked at it, I just thought to myself, what am I going to do with it? And I'm not going to lie, I don't necessarily think, I haven't even done a close-up, I'll do that now. Well, I'll do that shortly. I don't necessarily think these are the most polished looks I've ever done. I've definitely done better looks. But they still look somewhat elevated, even though I know I've done better. And I think that's a testament to the shades, especially the shimmers, because I think that that's what's helped to elevate things, to be perfectly honest. So let me zoom you in so that you can see both eyes. Here they are. I am by no means an expert blender. I'm improving. I think I get better every single time I apply eyeshadow. And then you've also got to get used to the nuances of different formulas and how they behave. This is quite a dry formula, a bit more on the powdery side. Lots of pigment. But they do blend quite nicely. I mean, I probably could have got a bit more of a blend going on here, but at the same time I wanted to show the colours. Like, I wanted to show that you've got the sort of deep lavender, for want of a better word, and the bright red with the blue in there. That's almost looking a bit Pepsi-esque. But yeah, I wanted to do a look that was going to show off the colours. And I did almost pick this up to do a low-key inspired look, and I wasn't sure, because that green is so bright, I didn't think I'd be able to pull it off. But now I'm looking at this eye, I'd say that's pretty low-key inspired. So you'll have to let me know. And it's funny because it's ended up being blue-purple-ish green. Just can't get away from those colours. Yeah. So I guess in that sense it's probably won me over for that alone, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, let me know which eye you like, the sort of greeny gold side or the Pepsi side. Let's call it the Pepsi side. I am not going to lie, I still find this palette a bit intimidating. Less so now I've tried it, but intimidating in a way where I feel I want to conquer it. I feel I want to play with this more, but I just want to experiment with this and I want to see what you can do. These shimmers, Nyack, so you've got Balm, Magic, President, Class and Histoire, which are a bit smoother. Then you've got Vivette, which is the more sort of almost flaky formula. And then you've got Nyack, which is a bit more, it's almost like a pressed glitter, but not. Like, it's smoother than a pressed glitter. Or maybe, I'm going to have a look. Is that a pressed glitter? I don't think so. One moment, please. No, there's no pressed glitters in here. I think I read somewhere that none of them are pressed glitters, even when they appear like they might be pressed glitters. Yeah, there we go. The shimmer eyeshadows and pigments may appear to be glitters when swiped with your finger. However, this is a 100% glitter-free palette with a smooth butter-like formula. The palette is vegan, glitter-free, BHT-free, I don't know what BHT is, does not contain mineral oil and will work best when applied with the fingers versus a brush. Contains 4 high pearl multi-chromes, 2 of which have a rainbow-like reflect, 2 high pearl shimmers and 6 buildable and blendable matte shades. I'd have to agree with them being buildable and blendable. I wonder if the high pearls are Vivette and Nyack, because they seem to be closer in formula and then the other 4 seem to be closer in formula, but I'm not 100% sure. So you can save 22% on the Adept website at the moment. I know it's also on sale on Monolith. I would say, if you're feeling bold, if you're feeling creative, and if you're more, I mean, I'm not a beginner, intermediate, I'm certainly not advanced. Good Lord, no. But maybe if you're looking for something just to kind of push you out of that comfort zone a little bit, this would be the palette. This is only the second palette from Adept that I've tried, but I'm going to say that Spectacular Shimmers is Adept's forte. And I'm beginning to kind of understand now why Adept palettes tend to be on the pricey side. going by the shimmers and how many shimmers they tend to include, there's normally a very high shimmer ratio in their palettes. This is 50-50, but I think a lot of them, when it's like a 15 pan palette, the top 2 rows are shimmers and then only the bottom row is a matte. I do love the packaging, sparkly, lacy packaging. So yeah, maybe I am eating my words a little bit. There is indeed a method to the madness of this colour story, and I think that you can indeed get some beautiful looks, and it's definitely a palette that you could have a lot of fun experimenting with. There we have it, guys. Those are my first impressions of the Vivette bundle from Adept Cosmetics. Am I eating humble pie? A little bit. I don't think I was the only person who felt this way about the colour story, and I stand by that a little bit. It is odd, and it is a little bit random, but I've got to say it works. It does work. I see the vision now. I do see the vision, and I'm looking forward to the Vivette palette pulling out that creative side in me, sort of like tugging a bit more at that creativity. I think that's what this palette can do, to be honest. I think so. So yeah, little bit of humble pie. Little bit. Let me know your thoughts. I'm always really interested to know what other people think when it comes to certain products, especially something like this, which I think was quite divisive when it came out. Do you have this palette? Do you have other palettes from Adept? What are your favourites by them? And where does this rank? Thank you again for sending this out to me, Adept. I really appreciate that. This is my second time using the brand. Minka was my first, and it's not going to be my last. I'm definitely going to be dipping into more Adept Cosmetics palettes because they are pretty spectacular, to be fair. They are. Emo next. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Take care. Bye. And it's the Wear Even Hydrating Longwear Concealer Corrector. Oh, that's French. I'll start again.